Hi everyone, I'm Christine, and in my previous video, I actually mentioned about the two problems that actually causes CCR to lose money. Also mentioned that if we were to solve these two problems, CCR might make money. Let's dive deep to see whether this is really true. Like I mentioned in the previous video, there's actually two main problems, which is actually the demand problem and product problem. So let's take a look at how the government has actually helped us to solve this problem. Solving the demand problem, we mentioned the decentralization actually has helped to create the demand. Why do we say so? If you actually remember from the previous video, we talked about decentralization, where the government actually brings jobs nearer to our home. So because of that demand outside Central Core region, it actually creates a demand in RCR and OCR, driving the prices up higher. So you can see over here, which is actually the blue line, firstly, gap for CCR to RCR is actually 72%, and right now it actually has dropped down to 11%. And for CCR to OCR, it used to be 112%, which is really high, and right now is actually very close to only 25%. So over here, you can actually see that the price in terms of average PSF for a CCR is about 3,001. The RCR averagely is about 2,006. OCR has actually went up as high as almost 2,004 PSF. So to put this into perspective, actually see that literally right now from the RCR to the CCR, the gap is about $200 to $400 PSF. Means that maybe you just need to top up a little bit, you could really upgrade to CCR area. And for OCR to CCR is actually a gap of about $500 to $600 PSF, which is actually much more narrow. Means that for some customers who probably has a BTO or has made money from their sales of their house, they could really probably just top up a little bit, or maybe in fact the same price, they could really upgrade to CCR. So this actually creates a societal progression, making it easier for us to upgrade to CCR, creating a more demand in CCR. Also talk about the ownership in CCR. In the past, you can see that the ownership of foreigners was actually about 30% or even more. But look at the statistic right now. You can see that over the years, right, ownership of Singaporeans has actually increased to actually about 60 to 70%. This means that there's a natural demand of Singaporeans wanting to stay in CCR. Let's take a look deeper to see the different districts, such as District 9. So you can see in District 9, over the last few years, it also has actually went up to 60 to 70%. The foreigners is actually pretty low at 10 plus to less than 20%. This means that very natural demand in District 9 as well, it's owned by Singaporeans. Then we look at District 1. District 1, you can see that over the years, in fact, last year in 2024, Singaporeans that actually own District 1 actually has a very high percentage of 82%. This means that a lot of Singaporeans are actually staying or buying a property in District 1. So this actually creates a very natural demand as well. Next, let's look at how the government helped us to solve the product problem. So let's take a look at how the government has helped us to solve the product problem. Over the years, URA has different improvisations, different guidelines to actually help us in the layout. In 2008, you can see that there was actually a changes in the GFA guidelines. Actually removed bay windows and planters. This actually helps us to improve the layout, making it actually much more livable. 2018, URA actually have these guidelines or a revision on it. Actually start charging them for the balcony. But now, or in fact after 2018, you realize that the balcony that the developer is giving are actually the right size. So this again actually improved our layout. In 2018, URA actually have this bonus gross floor area indoor recreation space. This means that let's say the developer actually build more facilities or greenery inside the condo, actually will probably be given some bonus floor area. This actually improve our site plan, which means it actually makes the place much more suitable for families to come in to stay. This also creates much more livability. In 2022, there was a harmonization of floor area. This means that the aircon latch is no longer considered inside the floor plan. Actually makes it very efficient layout. The size of the floor plan would actually sound smaller, but we are not really paying anything that we are not using it. This actually helps to check in for our price efficiency. Lastly, in 2022, there was actually a guidelines on the dwelling units, meaning that there is actually a minimum number of 3 and 4 bedrooms needed or to be maintained in a project. So this will actually means that there will be more families coming in to stay. With more families coming in to stay, it actually creates a more natural demand because their needs are met. More livability and more natural demand actually drives the prices up. Buying a new projects nowadays with all the guidelines, I actually buy into efficiency layouts, better site plan, as well as harmonization, meaning to say we don't pay for the extra space such as the aircon latch. This will definitely create a natural demand because it's actually livable, and because of the natural demand being met, it actually will create a high price sustainability. Take a look whether the URA has actually improved the efficiency. Take a look at Martin Place Residences. It's actually a project launched in 2007, a 3-bedroom of 1421 square feet. As you can see from the floor plan, it's actually quite a a nice layout, but again, we do have actually balconies, planters, bay windows, and bay windows. Again, it's actually a little bit of a wastage of space. And next to Martin Place Residences, we have another newer project which is Martin Modern. It was launched in 2017. A very nice layout of the 3-bedroom, 1421 square feet. Again, it actually has a little bit more balconies. Nice layout, but still big balconies. So why do we actually want to pay a little bit more for some of the spaces that we don't need? With everything in, actually have the latest project called Around Hill Residences. It was launched in 2022. Actually has a very nice layout of 3-bedroom, 1270 square feet. See from the floor plan, actually have the right size balcony. So with everything in place, with all the guidelines checked for Around Hill, you see it actually improved the layout, only charging you places that you need, which is actually 1270 square feet. And lastly, we have actually this project called One Marina Gardens that was launched this year with all the guidelines implemented. This is actually a 3-bedroom of 1173 square feet and is under harmonization, which means you are actually not paying for the aircon ledge. So although the size 1173 square feet might sound a bit smaller as compared to the previous few projects, we are only paying what we need. So we are actually having a lot of savings in terms of the pricing. Previously, we have seen bigger units like the 3-bedder. Let's take a look whether a 1-bedroom after the new guidelines do make money. You can see over here, we have actually a comparison of Devonshire on the left that was actually implemented in 2011 with all the previous guidelines. It actually has a size 506 square feet. And if you take a closer look, it actually has bay window, planters, and balcony and aircon ledged. So with a small size of 506, it actually has so many unused or wasted space. The size that you're really getting is definitely lesser. You can see because of all this unnecessary unwanted space, the living and the dining area is actually not really big. Whereas compared to 3 Cascaden on the right that was launched in 2019 with our policies in check, the size is only 452. But you're actually getting much more efficient layout because you actually have a bigger living and a dining area, and you actually have a very good size of a balcony, and there's actually no wastage of space in the corridor. Even though the space 452 might be smaller, but you are literally having a more efficient layout and only paying a size of 452. Definitely that will also equate to more saving. So for Cascaden, even though the size of 452 sounds small, but it has all the guidelines that was implemented, take a look whether this 1-bedder actually makes money. You can see over here, 3 Cascaden, even though it was launched at a higher PSF of 3,950, it actually makes a profit of 220,000 as compared to Devonshire, although it was actually launched at a lower PSF, but look at the profit, or I would say the loss that they actually make. They make a loss of 200 over 1,000. It actually shows that even if you're buying a project that has a higher PSF, it could actually give you profits as compared to older project because of the layout and the livability. Next, let's take a look at Around Hill Residences, which was a project launched after most of the guidelines implemented. See over here, Around Hill Residences was actually sitting on a very large plot of land. So they actually has much more facilities, which we actually have 1 pool and 2. On top of that, we even have a tennis court. And you can see over here, it's actually a lot of greeneries and a lot of space to run around for you to entertain your friends. So this is actually an ideal site plan for families to come in to stay. And we also take a look at the square feet or the size of the units. You can see we have actually very decent, or in fact good size of a 3-bedder, 1,270, a 4-bedroom of 1,005 plus square feet, 2,002 square feet for the 4 and 5-bedder. Looking at the site plan and the size of the layout, you can actually see that they're targeting a lot on the family to come in to stay. So with a high livability, the needs are being met. With a high natural demand, it actually generates profit. Let's take a look at how Around Hill Residences perform. As I mentioned, the 3-bedroom and 4-bedrooms are very ideal for own stay, so there was not much transactions for the 3 and 4-bedder, but let's take a look at the 2-bedroom. If you take a closer look, the 2 bedrooms for the Around Hill Residences actually has a very good profits of 268,000 for a small 2-bedder, 667 square feet. So you may find that the size sounds very small, but in fact, if you look at the layout, it is actually a very efficient layout where there was not much wastage of space. We even have a tucked-in closed kitchen. The bedrooms are able to fit in queen-size bed, and it actually gives you 2 bathrooms. With such an efficient layout, the profits that it actually generates is actually very, very good, 268,000. Some of you might find that, 268,000 doesn't sound that fantastic. But let's take a look at your ROE. Say, assuming if you actually buy the 2-bedder there when it was launched, it was about 1.75 million. Including a down payment and stamp duty, you'll probably be paying about 492,000. And the profit is 268k. So your ROE is in fact 54%, actually half of what you put in. So can I say this kind of ROE for a 2-bedder actually is actually very, very good. Next Next, we look at Avinia, a newer project that was launched after most of the guidelines being implemented. Again, you can see that it actually sits on a very big plot of land, and it actually have a very nice lap pool, even a tennis court in CCR area, and we have a big long area for the kids to run around, or area for you to have a picnic with the family members, or for the dogs to have a dog run. This actually creates a very ideal for family activities. With such a site plan, it actually encourages family to come in to stay. And if you actually look at the unit distribution over here, you can see that the 3 and 4 bedrooms are actually more than the 1 and 2 bedrooms. What does this tell us? This actually shows that this project in Avinia is actually encouraging or even attracting families to come in to stay. So with such a good site plan and a good unit distribution, you can see again it has high livability because the needs are being met, and it creates high natural demand for families to come in to stay. Avinia, with the good site plan and the good unit distribution, the profit that it actually generates for a 4-bedder is a whopping of 1 million. Okay, and you can see for the layout of Avinia, even the 2-bedder of a size of 807 is a very good layout, where you actually have big areas for your living and dining, spacious bedroom size, and 2 bathrooms. For the 3 bedrooms, it actually has a very good layout as well of 1141 square feet. It has actually a very good area for your living and a dining, good bedroom sizes, okay, and it only have a very sizable balcony. You do not have extra balcony in the master bedroom or any of the bedroom. Keeping the layout efficient, keeping the layout in check, this actually gives us a higher profit. Let's take a look at another example, Gramercy Park. You can see for Gramercy Park, it also is sitting on a very large land size with lots of facilities, including tennis court and a very nice lap pool. And you can see the full condo facilities actually is very ideal for families to come in to stay. Let's take a look at the unit size. You can see the 2 bedrooms starts from 1292 square feet, and the 3 and 4 bedrooms is actually a very good size of 2002 to 3000 square feet. Let's take a look at the layout. You can see this is actually a 3-bedroom of 1884 square feet. Yes, no doubt we actually have some bay windows here, balconies, bay windows. Okay, but overall you can see that it is actually still a very good layout, or a decent layout, where it is still livable. So all the bedrooms can actually fit in a queen size bed, and it actually has a landscaped living and a dining area. So even though there is actually a little bit of a bay windows, balcony, and some wastage of the space, it is actually still fairly livable because the size is actually 1884. So with a layout like this, it actually still has a little bit of a natural demand. So natural demand being met, there is actually profits. Take a look at how Gramercy Park performed. Here you can actually see that a 3-bedroom for Gramercy Park actually made a profit of over 1 million, that's as high as 1.45 million. So once we actually solve the demand problem, which is higher affordability and society progressions, and we also solve the product problem, which is actually the higher livability, needs are being met, natural demands come in, also the narrowing of the prices such as the PSF and the gap. And finally, with a clear exit strategy with all the new guidelines implemented in the new launches, we are getting much more efficient layout, harmonization project, not paying extra things such as aircon latches. This actually makes prices much more attractive. So once these 2 problems are being solved, CCR property will make money.